Hi everyone, another new product coming from Cryorig known as the Rheo 360. Thanks to Cobel to have provided this unit for me to share with you guys. These are the accessories and the main unit that comes in the box. Do note that there are no physical manual instruction, but you can scan the QR code on the box, or showing you at the center, you can scan this to obtain the online instruction. Now on my left, these are the brackets for the AMD platform, whereby you mount this to the pump. And on Intel side, you'll be provided with the brackets again to be mounted to the pump and a backplate. A bag of screws, total of 12. This is meant for you to mount your radiator to your case. 2 bags of retention bolt, whereby one is meant for your 1700 socket, the other which is the 2011. A bag of tiny screws, total of 5, but you'll be using 4 in order to mount this bracket, either the AMD or the Intel bracket, to your pump, which is over here. A tube of thermal paste, and of course the main unit and the pump. This is the main unit, and what caught my attention are the radiator fans. As I've been wondering, how come both sides of the fan there isn't any cable? So out of curiosity, I remove all the screws. As you can see over here, there are no cables, and when I switch over to the other side, there are no cables either. You're only left with one cable, which is this, where you have one 3-pin 5V ARGB connector and a 4-pin PWM fan connector. So this is the only cable that you need to worry about. So as I flip the fans, how did they daisy chain it? Take a look. A very brilliant idea. In fact, this is over here too. So what they have done, right? They have done the connector, and they have designed a pocket on the fan itself where you can hide this daisy chain connector. A very brilliant idea. Nice touch. Now, for this fan specs and the structure itself, let's talk about the structure. They are very sturdy, okay? They doesn't warp. And each of these fans, right, they have rubber grommets, 4 on each side. Same goes to the rest. See? And these are of 9 bladers, and with a unique cutting on the blade. This will definitely scoop more air. And for the voltage itself is 12 DC, and it has a drawing amperage of 0.36 ampere each. So if you total right, no problem to plug it to your motherboard CPU fan header, it can take the load. Now as for the RPM, minimum RPM is at 800 and the maximum RPM is 1800. These fans have ARGB effects on the blade itself, and at the center core there is a infinity mirror effect. Now coming to the radiator, the build structure is pretty standard. There are no design on both sides. And as for the measurement of the radiator, starting from here to here is at 393 mm. From here to here it's at 120 mm. And as for the thickness, this is at 27 mm. Nice braided hose, and the hose length is at 400 mm, where one side these are not swivelable, and the other side this is swivelable on the pump. And this is how the pump looks like, where it has the infinity mirror, and this is the whole cold plate, which is copper, a very big surface. For the pump measurements from here to here or from here to here is at 60 mm. And as for the height of the pump is at 42 mm. The speed of the pump is at 2700 RPM. And the pump itself has these 2 connectors, one which is 3-pin, which is good. This will allow the pump to run at full speed, which is at 2700 RPM. And the other, which is the ARGB effect, which is on the pump itself, which I will show you later. Preparation of the Intel platform. By the way, this liquid AIO support 11.5x, 1200, 1700, and also the latest 1851 socket. Right now, I have the 1700 socket. First thing to prepare is your pump. As you can see here, right, the pump, there are two screws over here, there are two screw holes over here. So you will need to make use of these brackets. Now take note on the bracket itself, whereby one is protruding up and the other one is countersunk. So to mount this, right, you will need to clip to the pump where you had these wings, right, spreading out, and do not do it this way. This is the incorrect way. I will just do one side. Now looking at the side, as you can see over here, so at the top right, there is this groove over here. What you need to do, right, the protruding side is at the top, leaving the countersunk at the bottom. So you will need to fit this in. It's gonna be a tight fit. Okay, once you push in firmly, right, when it flushes, right, check the holes. Okay, make sure they are aligned properly. So once this is done, right, next thing to do is to make use of the tiny screws. There are a total of 4. So make use of this to screw in your bracket. And it's best that you use a magnetic kind of screwdriver, because you won't drop the screws. Then you just screw this in. Screw it till it's firmly hold to the bracket itself. Then goes to another. I'm just going to fast forward this phase and to show you what's done. I've done fastening the bracket to the pump. Just make sure that it clips nicely, and also to screw nicely flat. Next thing you need to do is the back plate. Now when you flip over, right, there are indication mark as in like to which socket. This is 1700. So if you pump it down, right, there will be another. If you pump it up, this is 11.5x. So since this is 1700, right, I will set all this to 1700. Then next thing you need to do, peel off this. Now why do you need to peel this off? Below is in fact the double-sided tape. Let me just show you. So flip your board, take out this tape, and to place this threads over here to the 4 holes. And what's this for? This is to hold the back plate to the base of the motherboard. But for illustration purposes, right, I will not do this, as I need to return this unit. So just align to the holes, to the 4 holes. And once you've done this, right, you can flip the board over. Okay, let me just grab. Next, put your processor in. Next is to clean your processor with alcohol. Apply thermal paste. Then over at your pump, remove this plastic cover. Make sure you remove this. Do not apply on it without removing it, okay? That will cause bad thermal results. So once you remove this, right, apply alcohol, clean it, then mount it. And how you mount it, the orientation, make sure that the hose is facing towards the M.2 and not to your RAMs. Reason being, right, the wording on the effect, in fact, the Cryorig is this way. So imagine that you place it this way, right, which is near a RAM, right, your Cryorig will be this way. And based on the fact, why this orientation? Because they have plotted out properly, as in like where to touch on the IHS. So once you have placed it, right, hold it, make use of this retention screws, place it down, and to screw it on the threads which is below here. And when you're doing it, right, make sure you do it like do a half turn to anchor the retention bolts to it. Then once this is done, right, use the screwdriver, screw one full round, one screw one full round, one full round, and one full round. Do it alternately so that your cold plate will sit evenly with even pressure to the IHS or your processor. If you're going to screw all the way in one side, right, imagine this plate is already down. It's going to tilt this way, see? Or should I say tilt this way? Then you will have uneven pressure, and that will cause bad thermal results. Once you've done this, right, next thing to do is to connect your pump header to the motherboard pump header, or should I say the connector to the pump header. Yeah, make sure you do that, alright, and not CPU fan 1 or CPU fan 2, due to the fact that each motherboard, right, have this pump header where it supply more amperage. Next will be the ARGB connector to your ARGB connector on your motherboard, and that's done. For AMD, you support AM4 and AM5, and the mounting is so much simpler. What you need to do is to mount the AMD brackets to the plate. Now make sure it's this direction, okay, where the wings are facing inwards and not outwards. So all is needed, right, is just to clip to the pump, which I'm doing right now. Make sure that the protruding out area, right, is facing up, and the countersunk area facing at the bottom. So you just plug this in. Once it's seated in, right, check the holes again. As you can see here, it's aligned. So once that's done, right, make use of the tiny screws that I used earlier on the Intel. Reuse these screws over here, then just tighten them. For the motherboard itself, okay, let me just zoom in. What is needed is pretty straightforward. Remove the two brackets. Okay, this is out. This is out. So as mentioned, clean the processor, apply thermal paste. Over here, make sure you remove this, clean the surface with alcohol, then this is how you mount it. So with this retention bolt, right, anchoring to this 4 points, and again, once you have aligned everything properly, right, then again alternately screw in your retention bolt, as in like top directly to the bottom, top directly to the bottom. So do it crisscross so that the as mentioned, the pressure, right, will be evenly pressed against the cold plate to your processor. And once that's done, right, again plug in the pump connector, which is a 3-pin, to the pump. Then for the ARGB connector, to the ARGB connector. I'm going to do a noise test. This is my mic, and I'm just going to place it near, I'm going to keep quiet, and I'm just going to place it near the pump, because the pump right now is running at full speed. Okay, that's how the sound of the pump. I'm just going to leave it here, and this is idle. So together with the fans and the pump, Now this is at idle. I'm going to keep quiet. Now I'm just going to run the Cinebench. I'm going to stop again. So this is the noise signature of the pump together with the fans, and I'm just going to let it idle again. This is at idle. I'm going to keep quiet. I'm going to run the Cinebench again. As you have witnessed, the noise don't even exist. In fact, I was placing so near the microphone to the pump, yet I can't hear anything. And even if I put a distance, right, when I ramp up the Cinebench, right, I can't hear at all the pump nor the fans. It's very quiet, silent operation. How does this liquid AIO perform? Well, before I touch into it, these are the system spec. I'm using a Ryzen 9 7950X with a MSI Morta B650M motherboard. And as for the RAM, it's a 32GB kit with cache latency of 28 and a bus speed of 6000 and a voltage of 1.45 volt. And as for the PPO settings, I've actually done a PPT of 192 watt, TDC of 152 ampere, and EDC of 170 ampere. And for the curve optimizer is -18 with a V-core offset of 0.05 volt. Now when I set this to PPT 192, right, it doesn't mean that on the status that you see over here, right, it will pull 192. At times, right, if let's say the cooling is not enough, right, it will just drop in voltage. As in like pulling of the voltage. Same apply to the TDC and the EDC. Now speaking of which, right, when I started off this system, right, at idle is pretty good, but when it comes to midpoint, okay, let me just pull to probably 5 minutes. As you can see, 5 minutes, right, okay, at the starting point around the 9-minute mark, right, yeah, it can pull 190 watt and sustaining at all this very good frequency, as in like the clock frequency, as in like 5.175 and such. But when it comes to the midpoint, right, okay, around the 5-minute mark, see, it drops to 180 to 190 watts, and look at the frequency, it drops. And as I run further, probably the last 2 minutes, I'll let it run. See, this is what happened. It drops until 188 or 189, around there. And the temperature was like okay, not really that fantastic, 90 degrees, still able to handle, because the max temperature of this processor, right, is actually at 95 degrees Celsius. But looking at the stand, right, having this to pull at this and to sustain at this frequency, right, is I would say it's pretty good. But the thing worrying me is that based on the fact that this is a liquid cooler, it does not have air blowing around the components like your M.2, your RAMs and such. Take a look at the chipset and the RAMs, okay, my drive. This is at the last 2-minute mark. So everything is above 50 degrees Celsius and more. Else, if you start at the beginning, right, see, look at the temperature. It's hovering around 45, 46. And at midpoint, temperature is still increasing. Now, why does this impact at the last 2 minutes? As you can see over here, right? Okay, let me just pull the last 2 minutes and let it run. Now, why are all this increasing? This is telling me that the liquid AIO, right, is not dissipating heat enough. That's why the heat bounce back to the motherboard and causing the rest of the component to heat up. So that's the problem. Now, another thing is that looking at the graph over here, right, it doesn't show any consistency as in like a flat line. There will be jacket in between. Okay, this big gap line, in fact, is the Cinebench that runs rounds and stop and come back to the cycle. So this gap you can ignore. Just look at the flat lines. See, it jaggeds. It's not totally flat. So by saying this, right, yes, this processor, I mean this liquid cooler can hold on to the frequency and such, but it is still struggling based on the fact that the temperature, right, when you run at full load on Cinebench, right, it's at 90 degrees Celsius, hovering around 89 to 90 degrees Celsius, which is kind of, I would say, high. So if I am to judge on this cooler itself, right, I would say that yes, it's able to cater for it, but I would prefer to use a mid-tier processor, probably I would say a 7600 or maybe a 7850X3D. Okay, those you can run, no problem. But anything higher, right, like the 7950X, 7900X, or even the latest processor like the 9900X or maybe a 950X and such, right, I don't think this liquid cooler is sufficient. I mean, it's sufficient, but not good enough. What are my thoughts about this Cryorig Rheo 360? First of all, it's built very simple, and I like the fact being simple, easy to mount and such. Starting off with the locking mechanism of the AM4 and AM5 platform, as you can see, it's pretty easy. All is needed is just to mount the bracket to the pump, remove off the bracket from the motherboard, and you can just apply and go. That's it. On the Intel side, it's rather clumsy, as I feel that the mounting bolts, right, should be together with the bracket, and it will be much more easier, just like the AM4 or AM5 platform. So something to take note on that you can improve on, Cryorig. Now, next thing is that the daisy chain mechanism on the fans itself, pitch perfect. I mean, you have actually done a pocket just to hide all those connectors underneath the fans, leaving no cables at the side of the fans, so there are no cable mess, and you only need to feeder with only one cable. Simple, straight, and easy. Next will be the ARGB effect. Now, some of you might like it, some of you might not like it, but for me, I personally like how the infinity mirror, right, projects out from the pump. As you can see, right, it's very elegantly shown with the logo, but something I might suggest Cryorig to do is to, probably do I would say a custom template whereby you allow your PC builders or consumers to change the logo. That will be pitch perfect. So they will feel a belonging, you see. And else for the diffusion on the fans ARGB, right, is nicely done. Okay, something very unique whereby I see the infinity mirror on the circular cone and also at the center. Nice. Now, on the performance wise, I wouldn't say it's good or bad. It's okay. There's still room for improvement, based on the fact that I say that this liquid AIO, right, is only meant for mid-tier processor and not high-end processor. If you to use this on a high-end, right, I don't think it can sustain the temperature. Alright, with this said, I'd like to thank Cobell to have provided this unit for me to share with you guys. And if you are new to my channel, welcome to my channel. And you would like my content, do remember to subscribe and to click on the notification bell button. Till then, take care, goodbye, see ya.